Have you ever walked into a room in an instant, completely forgotten why you went in there? Maybe you've picked up the phone only to pause and think, wait, who was I about to call? Or perhaps you've spent 10 minutes looking for your reading glasses, only to find them sitting right on top of your head. If any of that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Millions of Americans over the age of 55 experience these mental hiccups every day. According to the National Institute on Aging, occasional forgetfulness is common as we get older. But that doesn't mean it's something we have to just accept without a fight. Here's the surprising truth. Scientists have discovered that a few simple, specific movements done in as little as 60 seconds a day can help wake up parts of your brain linked to memory, balance, and mental clarity. No heavy exercise, no expensive supplements, no complicated equipment. Just movements you can do sitting comfortably in a chair, in the comfort of your own home. I know this might sound too good to be true. I thought so too, until I started seeing the results firsthand in people just like you, people in their 60s, 70s, and even their 90s, who reported feeling sharper, steadier, and more confident after just a few weeks. And it's not magic, it's neuroscience. The Mayo Clinic and Harvard Medical School have both pointed out that the brain remains adaptable at every age, quality known as neuroplasticity. That means your brain can form new connections, improve blood flow, strengthen communication between nerve cells, even if you've noticed a decline in memory or mental speed. The key is giving it the right kind of stimulation. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 brain-boosting exercises designed for older adults, explain why they work, and show you how to combine them into a 1-minute daily routine that anyone can do. I'll also share tips to make them even more effective and some common mistakes to avoid so you get the most benefit. So if you've been worried about memory slips or feeling mentally sluggish, stay with me. What you're about to learn could help you feel more alert, more balanced, more confident in your everyday life, all in the time it takes to heat a cup of coffee. Let me tell you about Harold. Harold is a 75-year-old retired high school history teacher from a small town in Ohio for most of his life. He was the guy who could remember every date from the Revolutionary War and every student's name, even decades later. But over the last few years, something began to change. At first, it was little things, forgetting where he parked at the grocery store, pausing mid-sentence because he couldn't find the right word, then it was missing appointments, despite writing them on his calendar. His wife Carol noticed he wasn't as steady on his feet. He started avoiding going for walks alone because he was afraid of losing his balance and falling. Harold told me one day, "I feel like my brain's just dimming, not gone, but like someone's turned the lights down." And that feeling was affecting more than just his memory. It was changing how he saw himself. He'd always been independent, sharp, and capable. Now he was doubting himself over things as simple as crossing the street or joining a conversation. Here's the thing, Harold didn't have dementia. His doctor at the Cleveland Clinic confirmed that. What he was experiencing was something the National Institute on Aging calls age-related cognitive changes, a natural slowdown in certain brain functions, especially if the brain isn't getting the stimulation it needs. The good news? Just like muscles get stronger with the right kind of exercise, the brain can get sharper with the right kind of activity. And for Harold, that started with something almost laughably simple. A few targeted movements he could do sitting in his favorite recliner, in under a minute a day. When I first showed him, he chuckled. "You're telling me wiggling my toes is going to help me remember my neighbor's name?" But he agreed to give it a try. No pressure, just once a day for 3 weeks. The moves were designed not only to engage his muscles, but to send signals up through the nervous system to specific areas of the brain that control balance, coordination, and memory. By the second week, Harold said he felt steadier when walking to get the morning paper. By the third week, he surprised Carol by recalling a story from their honeymoon in vivid detail, something he hadn't mentioned in years. It wasn't a miracle overnight change, but it was enough to make him feel hopeful again. What I love about Harold's story is that it's not unique. I've seen this pattern over and over with older adults. Once they start using these small but deliberate movements, they begin to feel sharper, more confident, and more engaged with life. The science backs it up too. Research from the University of Illinois and Johns Hopkins University has shown that even brief bouts of targeted physical activity can improve blood flow to the brain and enhance neural communication. And the best part? It's never too late to start. Harold was 75 when he began. I've worked with folks in their 80s and 90s who've seen benefits. The brain doesn't have an age limit on growth. It just needs the right kind of nudge. In a moment, I'll explain exactly what's going on inside the brain when memory starts to slip, and why these simple exercises can help switch the lights back on. Before we get into the how of these brain-boosting movements, it's important to understand what's really happening when memory starts to fade. A lot of people think memory loss arrives suddenly. One day you wake up and realize you can't remember names, dates, or appointments like you used to. But in reality, changes in the brain often happen slowly, quietly, and over many years. According to the Mayo Clinic, age-related changes in memory are often the result of a combination of factors: reduced blood flow to the brain, shrinkage of certain brain areas, and slower communication between nerve cells. One of the first brain regions affected is the hippocampus, a small, seahorse-shaped structure deep inside the brain. The hippocampus plays a central role in forming new memories and retrieving old ones. Over time, without enough stimulation and healthy blood flow, this area can start to shrink. That's one reason why older adults sometimes struggle to learn new information or recall specific details. Another important player is the cerebellum, located at the back of the brain. Most people know it for controlling balance and coordination. But research from Harvard Medical School has shown it also supports cognitive functions like attention and even aspects of language. When the cerebellum isn't fully engaged, for example, if you're not doing activities that challenge both body and mind, its communication with other brain areas can weaken. It can lead to slower thinking, more hesitation, and even a subtle loss of confidence in movement. Then there's blood flow. The brain relies on a constant supply of oxygen and nutrients to function. If the blood vessels leading to the brain become narrowed or less flexible, which often happens with age, high blood pressure, or inactivity, the brain simply doesn't get the fuel it needs. Johns Hopkins Medicine explains that even a small drop in blood flow can reduce mental clarity, just like a dimmer switch turning down the lights in a room. Now, here's the encouraging part. While these changes are common, they are not a one-way street. Thanks to something called neuroplasticity, your brain can adapt, grow new connections, and even strengthen old ones at any age. Neuroplasticity is like your brain's built-in repair and renovation system. But just like a house won't renovate itself unless someone picks up the hammer, your brain won't strengthen those connections unless you give it the right kind of work to do. This is where specific, intentional movement comes in. When you move different parts of your body in a controlled way, especially in patterns that you don't normally use, you send powerful signals from your nerves up to your brain. Think of it like flipping switches in rooms that have been dark for a while. Suddenly, the brain areas connected to those movements light up and start communicating more actively with each other. For example, when you wiggle your toes on purpose, you activate sensory and motor pathways that connect directly to the cerebellum. When you gently rotate your neck, you improve blood flow through the arteries that lead into the brain. When you move your tongue in specific ways, you stimulate areas involved in speech, comprehension, and memory recall. And when you massage your ears, you engage the vestibular system, which is closely tied to balance and spatial awareness. These aren't random motions, they're targeted neural activators. And research supports this approach. A study published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that short, simple coordination exercises improved cognitive performance in older adults, in part by increasing connectivity between brain regions. Another study from the University of Tokyo showed that even 3 weeks of light, targeted movement improved both balance and memory test scores in seniors. What's powerful about this method is that it doesn't just work one part of the brain in isolation. When you combine these exercises, you're essentially creating a full brain workout, activating multiple systems minus motor control, coordination, language, memory, all at the same time. The result is better communication between regions, improved circulation, and a stronger sense of mental sharpness. And here's something important. You don't need to be in perfect health to start. These exercises are designed to be safe and gentle enough for people who may have limited mobility, arthritis, or joint issues. They're done seated, they require no special equipment, and they can be adapted to your own pace and comfort level. In a moment, I'll introduce the concept of neuro-activation, a simple way to think about this process. and why doing these short movements every day can help switch the lights back on in your brain. Think of your brain like a small town. You've got neighborhoods for memory, neighborhoods for movement, neighborhoods for language, and so on. Each neighborhood is connected by roads, the neural pathways. When those roads are busy and well maintained, information travels quickly. But when certain roads aren't used often, they start to break down. Cracks form, weeds grow. Traffic slows to a crawl. Now, neuroactivation is like sending crews out to repair and reopen those roads. It's the process of deliberately stimulating different areas of the brain so they wake up and start communicating again. And the best part? You don't need hours of mental gymnastics to do it. Just the right type of activity that sends signals through multiple pathways at once. Here's how it works. Your brain and body are in constant conversation through your nervous system. When you move, sensory signals travel from your muscles, joints, and skin up to your brain. The more unusual or intentional the movement, the more your brain has to pay attention. That attention, that moment of, oh, this is different, is what sparks neuroplasticity. It encourages the brain to strengthen existing connections and build new ones. For example, if you've been walking the same route for years, your brain barely notices. It's on autopilot. But if you suddenly take a new path with different terrain, your brain has to work harder to coordinate your steps, adjust your balance, and process the scenery. That's neuroactivation in action. The same principle applies to the short exercises I'm going to share with you. Each movement we'll go through is chosen for its ability to light up specific brain regions. Wiggling and pressing your toes wakes up the cerebellum and boosts body awareness. Gentle neck turns improve blood flow to the brain and help keep arteries flexible. Tongue mobility stimulates language and memory centers. Ear massage activates the vestibular system for balance and mental alertness. Combining them engages multiple areas at once, like running a whole town block party where every neighborhood is involved. What's exciting is how quickly people can start to feel the difference. You may notice a clearer head, sharper recall of names or details, or simply feeling more steady when you stand up. These aren't just feel-good effects. They're signs your brain is reconnecting and recharging. The National Institute on Aging emphasizes that consistent small efforts add up to real, measurable benefits for brain health. You don't need to overhaul your life. You just need to give your brain a daily reminder that it's still needed, still capable, and still growing. In the next part, we'll walk through each of the 5 exercises step by step so you can start activating your brain right away, all in just 60 seconds a day. We're going to start from the ground up, literally. Most people are surprised when I tell them that one of the quickest ways to wake up your brain is by moving your toes. It sounds almost silly at first, but your toes and the nerves that control them have a direct line of communication to your cerebellum. It's a part of your brain that helps with balance, coordination, and even mental focus. When we keep our feet still for long periods, sitting at the computer, watching TV, or reading, those nerve pathways get lazy. And when the cerebellum isn't as active, it doesn't send as many signals to the rest of the brain. That's why engaging your feet can actually help sharpen your mind. Here's how to do the toe lifts and presses safely and effectively. 1. Sit in a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor. Make sure your back is supported and your hands can rest comfortably on your thighs. 2. Lift all your toes off the ground at the same time, keeping your heels planted. Hold this position for about 5 seconds. You should feel a gentle stretch across the top of your feet. 3. Lower your toes back down and press them firmly into the floor, as if you're trying to grip the ground. Hold that press for 5 seconds. Massage the floor with your toes by making small, circular motions for 10 seconds, almost like you're kneading dough. 5. Spread your toes apart and then bring them back together, repeating for 10 seconds. This entire sequence takes about 30 seconds. Repeat it twice, and you've completed a full minute. Now, you may not feel anything dramatic right away, but many people notice within a week or two that they stand a little taller, walk with more confidence, or feel more awake mentally after doing this. Let me give you an example. Linda, a 68-year-old from Florida, came to one of my workshops after recovering from knee surgery. She said she always felt a little wobbly, especially on uneven ground. We added toe lifts and presses to her daily routine. Within 3 weeks, She told me she was walking out to get the mail without holding onto the railing. And she'd also noticed she was recalling names faster in her church group. So that's the mind-body connection at work. From a scientific standpoint, this exercise stimulates sensory nerves in your feet, which sends signals up the spinal cord to the cerebellum. The cerebellum then wakes up and interacts with other brain regions involved in focus, reaction time, and memory. Research from the University of Tokyo found that foot exercises improved both balance and memory performance in older adults after just 3 weeks of consistent practice. The best part? You can do this anytime, while watching TV, talking on the phone, or waiting for your coffee to brew. And it doesn't matter if you're barefoot, wearing socks, or in shoes, as long as you can move your toes. Next, we'll move a little higher up and work on something that keeps the bridge between your body and brain wide open, your neck. If your brain were a city, your neck would be the main bridge connecting everything below it to everything above it. Every drop of blood, every molecule of oxygen, and every nutrient your brain uses has to travel through that bridge. The problem is, as we age, many of us spend more time with our neck in one fixed position, reading, watching TV, looking at a phone, and less time moving it through its natural range. On top of that, stress and tension can cause the muscles around the neck to tighten, like squeezing a garden hose. When that happens, blood flow to the brain can slow down, and with it, mental clarity. That's why gentle neck turns are such an important part of this 1-minute brain routine. They help keep the bridge flexible and open, so your brain gets the nourishment it needs. Here's how to do them safely. Sit tall in a sturdy chair, feet flat on the floor, shoulders relaxed. Think of a string gently lifting the top of your head toward the ceiling. Turn your head slowly to the right as far as is comfortable without forcing it. You should feel a mild stretch but no pain. Hold for about 3 seconds. Turn to center and then turn to the left in the same way, holding for 3 seconds. Tilt your head back gently, lifting your chin toward the ceiling as if you're looking at the sky. Hold for 3 seconds. Bring your head forward, lowering your chin toward your chest. Hold for 3 seconds. Repeat this cycle slowly for about 30 seconds. If you want to make it a full minute, go through it twice. A key tip: move with your breath. Inhale as you turn or tilt your head. Exhale as you come back to center. This not only helps you stay relaxed, but also boosts oxygen delivery to your brain. I once worked with a retired postal worker named Frank, 72 years old, from Michigan. He told me that after years of sorting mail and driving his route, he'd developed a stiff neck. He started doing gentle neck turns twice a day, once in the morning and once before bed. Within a couple of weeks, he noticed he wasn't getting that mid-afternoon brain fog as often. His wife even commented that he seemed quicker in conversation, and Frank swore it was thanks to loosening the bridge. From a scientific perspective, moving your neck in this gentle, controlled way helps keep the cervical arteries supple, improves blood flow, and stimulates balance and coordination centers in the brain. Johns Hopkins Medicine notes that good neck mobility can directly support healthy circulation to the brain, which in turn supports memory and attention. It's a simple movement, but when done with intention, it's like opening up a busy highway into your brain, and you'll feel the difference. Next, we're going to focus on a part of your body you probably never thought of as a brain booster: your tongue. This next one often gets the biggest reaction when I first introduce it. People usually laugh and say, "You've got to be kidding. Moving my tongue is going to help my memory." But here's the thing. Your tongue is one of the most sensitive, nerve-rich muscles in your body, and it has a direct hotline to areas of your brain responsible for speech, comprehension, and memory recall. Every time you move your tongue in a deliberate, unusual way, you're sending strong sensory signals into the brain. Those signals light up regions that don't get as much action in day-to-day life, especially if you're not talking as much, singing, or eating a variety of foods that require different chewing patterns. Harvard Medical School has pointed out that the brain regions controlling the tongue are tightly linked to the brain's language centers. Stimulating them may help keep those areas sharp. That means these simple movements can support both your communication skills and your memory. Here's how to do the tongue mobility routine. Sit comfortably with your back supported and your mouth slightly open. Stick your tongue out as far as you comfortably can and hold for 3 seconds. Now, you might feel a gentle stretch under your jaw. That's good. Move your tongue to the right as if you're trying to touch the inside of your cheek. hold for 3 seconds. Move your tongue to the left in the same way, and hold for 3 seconds. Press your tongue firmly against the roof of your mouth for 3 seconds, then relax. Repeat 3 times. Make slow circles with your tongue inside your mouth. 5 circles in one direction, then 5 in the other. That's about 30 seconds of work. Repeat it twice, and you've got your minute. I remember working with a retired nurse named Evelyn from Arizona. She told me she was starting to lose her words. She'd be mid-conversation and suddenly draw a blank on a name or common term. We added this tongue routine to her daily coffee ritual. She'd sit at the kitchen table, read the paper, and do the movements. 3 weeks later, she called to say, "I don't know what magic this is, but my words are coming back quicker." And my husband noticed too. From a neuroscience perspective, this exercise improves coordination between the motor cortex, which controls movement, the sensory cortex, which processes touch, and the temporal lobes, which handle memory and language. The more those regions talk to each other, the smoother your thinking and speaking become. Might feel silly at first, but think of it as a workout for your brain's communication system. You don't need any equipment, and you can do it while watching TV, reading, or even sitting in the car before heading into the store. Now that we've woken up your toes, your neck, and your tongue, we're going to move to another overlooked powerhouse for brain activation: your ears. Your ears do more than just let you hear. Inside each ear is a tiny but powerful system called the vestibular system, which helps control your balance, orientation, and even your sense of alertness. When the vestibular system isn't stimulated enough, you might notice feeling unsteady when you get up from a chair, leaning slightly when you walk, or just feeling a bit foggy mentally. According to the Cleveland Clinic, maintaining vestibular health is essential for preventing falls and keeping your brain spatial awareness sharp, especially as we age. That's where the ear activation massage comes in. By gently stimulating the nerves and tissues in and around the ears, you send signals to the brainstem and other balance-related areas, which can improve coordination and mental clarity. Here's how to do it. Sit comfortably in a chair with your back supported and shoulders relaxed. Place your thumb and index finger on the top edges of both ears. Gently pull upward and hold for about 3 seconds. Move your fingers to the middle of your ears. Pull gently outward and hold for 3 seconds. Move to the lower part of your ears. Pull gently downward and hold for 3 seconds. Now, using your fingers, make small circles around the edges of your ears for about 10 seconds, applying light pressure. Finish by gently rubbing the earlobes between your thumb and index finger for another 5 to 10 seconds. That's roughly 30 seconds. Repeat it twice to make a full minute. I worked with a 79-year-old retired school librarian named Margaret from Pennsylvania. She told me she often felt a little dizzy when standing up quickly and had started avoiding certain activities. We added the ear activation massage to her daily routine right after breakfast. Within a couple of weeks, she noticed she felt steadier walking up her front porch steps and even more alert in the mornings. She joked, "I think my ears are talking to my brain again." From a scientific point of view, ear massage works because the outer ear has many sensory nerve endings that connect to the vagus nerve and other cranial nerves. These send signals to parts of the brain that regulate balance, coordination, and arousal levels. Studies published in Frontiers in Neurology suggest that stimulating the vestibular system can help improve postural stability and cognitive function in older adults. And just like the other exercises, you don't need special equipment, and it can be done anywhere. Sitting at your kitchen table, in the living room, or even while waiting in the car. Next, we're going to combine everything you've learned so far into a single, powerful, 1-minute sequence that activates multiple areas of your brain at once. You've now learned 4 simple, targeted exercises for your toes, neck, tongue, and ears. Each one wakes up different parts of your brain, but when you combine them into one flowing sequence, something special happens. You get a whole brain workout in just 1 minute. Think of it like an orchestra. You can have the violin, the drums, the piano, and the flute all playing separately, and each sounds nice on its own. But when they play together, in harmony, the music becomes richer, fuller, and more powerful. That's exactly what happens when multiple brain regions are activated at the same time. Here's how to do the integrated 60-second routine. Start seated in a sturdy chair, feet flat, shoulders relaxed. Lift all your toes while you gently turn your head to the right. Hold for 3 seconds. Return to center and lower your toes. Press your toes into the floor while turning your head to the left. Hold for 3 seconds. Return to center. Spread and wiggle your toes while tilting your head back to look upward. Hold for 3 seconds. Bring your chin toward your chest while moving your tongue to the right. Hold for 3 seconds. Lift your head back to center while moving your tongue to the left. Hold for 3 seconds. Press your tongue against the roof of your mouth while gently pulling your ears upward for 3 seconds. Move your tongue in slow circles while pulling your ears outward for 3 seconds. Finish by massaging your ears in gentle circles while wiggling your toes for the last 5 to 6 seconds. That's your full 60 seconds. It's gentle, it's simple, and it can be done once or twice a day. Maybe in the morning to start your day sharper, or in the evening to help you wind down while still giving your brain a tune-up. I once showed this combined routine to a woman named Joan, 80 years old, from North Carolina. She had some stiffness in her neck, occasional dizziness, and said she sometimes felt her mind was sluggish in the afternoons. After 3 weeks of doing this routine daily, she reported feeling steadier on her feet, more focused while reading, and even noticed she could recall details from conversations more easily. Her exact words were, "I feel like my brain got a cup of coffee." From a neurological perspective, this integration works because you're stimulating multiple sensory and motor systems simultaneously: cerebellum, hippocampus, vestibular system, and language centers, forcing them to coordinate in real time. Studies from the University of Illinois and Johns Hopkins University have shown that such multimodal stimulation can enhance both cognitive and physical performance in older adults. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about consistency. Even if you start slowly, your brain will still get the signal. Stay active, stay connected, stay sharp. You've now got the full 60-second brain activation routine. But there are a few small, easy steps you can add before or during your exercises to make them even more effective. Think of these as boosters, like turning up the brightness on a light that's already on. Tip number 1, drink a glass of water. First, it might sound too simple, but hydration plays a huge role in brain performance. According to the Mayo Clinic, your brain is about 75 to 80% water. Even mild dehydration, the kind you might not even notice, can make it harder to concentrate, remember things, or think clearly. By drinking a glass of water before your 1-minute routine, you're giving your brain the hydration it needs to fire on all cylinders. This helps nutrients and oxygen travel more easily through your bloodstream to your brain cells. I tell my clients, think of it as giving your brain a quick rinse before work. If you have trouble remembering to drink water, keep a glass or reusable bottle next to the chair where you do your exercises. That way, it becomes part of the routine. Number 2, use deep, steady breathing. While you're doing the movements, try this simple breathing pattern. Inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Hold for a second, then exhale gently through your mouth for a count of 6. This type of breathing helps in 2 ways. First, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps you feel calm and focused. No rushing, no tension. Second, it delivers more oxygen to your brain. Johns Hopkins Medicine has highlighted how oxygen-rich blood improves brain function, especially in areas tied to attention and memory. It's also a nice built-in reminder to slow down your movements. Many people rush through exercises and miss the benefits. When you sync each movement with your breath, you naturally move at the right pace. Tip number 3, add music you love. Music isn't just entertainment, it's brain fuel. Research from Johns Hopkins University shows that music can activate nearly every area of the brain, including those tied to emotion, memory, and coordination. For your 1-minute routine, choose music that makes you feel good, but not overstimulated. Maybe soft jazz, gentle guitar, or nature sounds. The goal is to create an environment that your brain associates with enjoyment. This makes you more likely to stick with the habit. And it can even boost the memory benefits by pairing the movements with pleasant emotional cues. One of my clients, Bill, 77, from Texas, started doing his exercises to old Frank Sinatra songs. He told me that not only was he feeling sharper, but he also found himself remembering stories from his younger years whenever those songs played. That's the power of linking movement with music. It helps file memories in a way that's easier to access later. Putting it all together, here's how your boosted routine might look. You sit down in your favorite chair with a glass of water. You take a sip, put on a favorite piece of music, and start the 60-second sequence. Moving with the rhythm while breathing deeply and steadily. In just a few minutes, you've hydrated your brain, improved oxygen flow, engaged multiple brain regions, and created a positive emotional state, all at once. These tips might seem small, but when practiced consistently, they can multiply the effects of your daily brain activation. As the National Institute on Aging reminds us, healthy brain habits are about stacking small, simple choices that keep your mind active and engaged. Now that you know how to get the most out of your 60-second brain routine, let's make sure you're not doing anything that could slow down your progress. These are the 3 mistakes I see most often, and they're easy to fix. Mistake number 1, rushing through the movements. Some people treat the exercises like a chore to get done as quickly as possible. But remember, your brain needs time to process the signals from your body. If you rush, you're not giving those neural pathways enough time to fully activate. The solution is simple. Slow down. Sync your movements with your breathing. Think of each action as a message you're sending to your brain. And like any message, it needs a moment to be heard. Mistake number 2, pushing to the point of pain. These exercises are meant to be gentle. You should feel movement and maybe a mild stretch, but never pain. Pain is your body's way of saying something's wrong. Forcing your neck, toes, or tongue beyond what's comfortable can cause strain and make you less likely to keep up the habit. Always work within your comfortable range, and if you have any medical conditions like severe arthritis or neck problems, check with your healthcare provider before starting. The goal is consistency, not intensity. Mistake number 3, skipping days or stopping too soon. The benefits of this routine come from repetition. The National Institute on Aging emphasizes that the brain thrives on regular, ongoing stimulation. Doing it once or twice and then forgetting about it won't give your brain enough time to build those stronger connections. Think of it like watering a plant. You can't just pour on a gallon once and expect it to stay healthy. A little water every day makes the difference. Bottom line, move slowly and with intention. Stay within your comfort zone. And most importantly, stick with it. Even 1 minute a day done consistently can add up to a sharper mind and a steadier body. You've just learned a simple, science-backed way to give your brain a daily tune-up in only 1 minute. It doesn't require expensive equipment, gym memberships, or complicated routines. All it takes is you, a chair, and the decision to start. We've talked about how your toes can wake up your balance centers, how your neck can open the flow of oxygen to your brain, how your tongue can sharpen your words and memory, and how your ears can boost your coordination. And when you put it all together in the integrated 60-second routine, with a glass of water, steady breathing, and maybe your favorite music, you're not just moving your body, you're sending a clear message to your brain. I'm still here, I'm still active, and I'm still growing. I've seen people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and even 90s benefit from these exercises. Some noticed they were steadier on their feet. Others said conversations felt easier, or they remembered details more quickly. One gentleman told me he started looking forward to his brain minute every morning because it gave him a sense of accomplishment to start the day. The truth is, it's never too late to give your brain a boost. Neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to adapt and grow, doesn't have an expiration date. As long as you keep giving it the right signals, it will keep responding. So here's my challenge to you. Commit to this routine for the next 3 weeks. Just 60 seconds a day. Put it in your calendar. Set a reminder on your phone, or pair it with something you already do every day, like making coffee or watching the evening news. You've now got a 1-minute science-backed routine that can help keep your mind sharper, your balance steadier, and your confidence higher, no matter your age. But here's the thing. This video isn't just about me talking to you. I want this to be a conversation, and that means I'd love to hear from you. If you try these exercises this week, even just once, come back and tell us what happened. Did you feel more awake? Did your steps feel steadier? Did you remember something that surprised you? There's no story too small. In fact, your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to get started. Scroll down right now and leave a quick comment, just a sentence or two. If you're thinking I don't usually comment on videos, that's okay. This is your chance to join a friendly community of people who care about staying sharp and living fully at every age. And if you found this helpful, tap that subscribe button and turn on the little notification bell. That way, you'll be the first to know when I post new brain-boosting tips, simple health routines, and other ways to help you feel your best. Think of it as joining a circle of friends who are all rooting for each other's success. Before you go, here's my personal challenge. Commit to this 1-minute routine every day for the next 21 days. Then come back and tell us what changed. Your comment could inspire someone on the other side of the country, or even on the other side of the world, to take their first step toward a brighter mind. Remember, the smallest daily habits can create the biggest long-term changes. Your brain is ready. Now it's your turn to show up for it. Let's get started, and I'll see you in the comments.